Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors WalkOff here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us, and we are brought to you by Russell and Associates. Today, we'll start off by talking baseball with head coach Kyle Poock. And Coach Poock, unfortunately, your run at the NSIC tournament was a little bit short, but your last win in your Warrior career is really one to write home about. Tell us a little bit about the game. But first, tell us about the delay. There was a storm delay, so of course there was because of the weather situations that we've had over the past couple of years, but it caused a 5-hour delay in your game against Minot State. Tell us how you guys handled that.
Well, yeah, it was interesting because we started at noon and didn't finish till 8:30. So it was, we were sent to the bus, come back out, let's get going, send back to the bus, come back out, get back to the bus or whatever, because the lightning, the biggest thing was the lightning. It just kept coming. And the NCAA has a rule. They got a weather app that all schools are supposed to use, and it's got a 10-mile radius on it. Well, if a lightning strikes inside that 10-mile radius, delay, and that's 30 minutes for every once. Subsequent one after that is another 30 minutes added. And so the interesting thing is all the lightning, the original lightning was in the area close to where we were. But then after that, after the first time we went back out on the field and started go, the rest of the lightning was all to the north, and it was on the northern edge of that 10-mile circle. So we probably could have gone a little bit earlier, but you want to be safe for the student athletes. So yeah, so it was one that we went back and forth. It worked out. Our pitching was, we were at a point where Kyle Gendron wasn't going to come back in anyway. And then, so then we were able to use Caleb Strack for a little bit. And then after that, then we finished up with Justin Furpo. Had a big home run by Dean Weiland in the 9th inning after they brought in their starting pitcher and in the 8th inning, and we tied the game. And we had guys in scoring position. They brought him in, and he struck out 2 guys. Looked in our dugout, yelled at some expletive language at our guys, got our guys fired up. So when I tell people karma can be you know what, and the next inning they brought him back out and we doubled home run and then we won the game. So that was that kid's first loss on the year. And if he would have just done his thing, probably, who knows, but our guys are fired up, ready to play. And so they were ready to get after it for that first game.
Yeah, so very exciting. It was great to hear the wrap up of that and that you guys were able to advance. Unfortunately, as you had said, because of the seeding, then you had to face Augustana, which was the next game. Tell us a little bit about what happened against Augustana.
Well, then we got the lead on them first. We another home run. We had, I don't know how many we hit 7 home runs or whatever on the weekend. And but they're really good. They're a good team. They're good. They're where they are for a reason. But we knew being the 4 or 5 seed, that 5 seed, you beat the 4, you got the number 1. Again, there, and we had a delay though, again there. Weather, and this one was worse. So we were heading back to the hotel, and we from Brandon Valley have to swing back up on Interstate 90. And we had to get underneath an underpass and sit in the bus for about a half hour. That I've never seen. I thought I was in the Wizard of Oz, is what I tell people. And our guys, they don't know what Wizard of Oz was, but the wind was coming, and it was just a big wall of dust, dirt coming. You could see it coming. You go, what in the world? So our bus driver did a great job getting us there and getting us underneath that underpass. And we just sat and went back, and then we were able to start the game the next morning. So, but yeah, Augie, when we came back, we had some hits. We just didn't quite get what we needed when we needed it. So.
All right. And then, of course, it was the double elimination tournament. So you're still alive in the other side of the bracket. You face off against Minnesota Duluth. Tell us a little bit about that game.
Yeah, that one was a little bit disappointing. I thought we would have a good chance of winning that. Give them credit. They're just regular Bob Rentz UMD. They just scrapped the daylights out of it. And afterwards, I looked at the stats. We struck out 4 times. They struck out 11. They got their runs on hits between guys. We hit balls right at guys. We hit some balls hard and whatever. And what are you going to do? It's the way the ball bounces sometimes. But the guys played hard right to the end, and great effort. We were a 5 seed. Everybody picked picked us as a 7. I think if you look at our roster, our youth that we had, we were the youngest team there. So I think that was a good showing for them, and leads to the future should be bright here yet.
So I'm guessing from your comments about all the games that were played, you really have no qualms with the way that your team played this weekend.
No. Our biggest thing was, like I tell people, and we've said it on here, we play a really good schedule at the beginning of the year. If you look at the strength of schedule in our league, our preseason strength of schedule is better than anybody's. And we do it for a reason, to make sure we prepare for ourselves to play at the end of the year. We make sure we play those good teams to know what we have to do to get better. We worked hard all year long, had a couple. We'd make 3 steps forward and maybe 2 back, and then maybe 3 forward again, then 1 back. But we kept getting a little bit better. And even our loss to Augie and stuff, we competed with them, and they knew they had a battle with us. It wasn't going to be an easy one. And the same thing with Duluth. And so I was happy, proud of the way the guys played. They held their heads up, and they did a good job.
So now we shift the focus now to you for the last part of this show. Which I know you're probably thrilled about. What was that's okay. What was the reaction from your team, knowing that the season was over, but also that was kind of the end of the road for you as the coach for Winona State?
Well, it was, I think they were disappointed a little bit because they wanted to keep playing and have me keep coaching. I think they did. You never know. You could probably talk to them, but it was a little emotional at the end with all of them and stuff, knowing that. But everybody but 3 guys, senior pitchers, are coming back. So I just talked about them making sure they're getting out, doing what they got to do, stay healthy, make sure they keep playing, get better. So whoever takes over, whether it's Coach Riley or if they bring somebody else in, that you're ready to go in the fall and keep it going here. So.
All right. Well, as we talked about you end your career now 491 wins, which is second all time at Winona State, 922 games coached, which is also second, 20 years at the helm. For you, what do you think you're going to miss most about this?
Well, I'll miss being around the guys. That's you bring them in as a freshman, and you get to know them, and you get to know. Like, one of my things is every day I like to try to talk to each one of them, not just about baseball, just talk to them all. Some days I get it done. Some days I might miss a couple guys, but you really try to get to know them, know where they're from, know what they're. I've been around long enough that a lot of them, I know somebody in their life somewhere, a coach or somewhere, a teacher at school. Keep up on that. So I'll miss that. I miss the practices. I'll miss the games. The games are always fun. A lot of the other stuff that's going on now in the NCAA and other things, that I'm ready to walk away from that and don't even look back. But the everyday stuff, being around the players, is what I'll miss.
If I ask you this question, I'm sure that 2011 is probably going to be the main answer. But if you look back and you look at a couple of highlights of your time at Winona State, what are you going to think back at, and what are you going to remember? Just looking back.
Well, yeah, there's all kinds of there's things that you could probably talk forever on, or hours or whatever, on different things that happened on the program. The 2011 team, that was a run that I said, I don't know if I talked to you or somebody else. The year in 2010, I told a couple, my brother was the coach. I told him, my dad, and then Mike Kirchberg was the other guy I told. I said, hey, I think 2011. Hold on. Yeah. 2011 is going to be a good year for us. I don't know if we'll go all the way, but it'll be a good year. And then we were able to play for a national championship. And at that point, we were the farthest northern team to play for national championship, northernmost team. We're the first team in our league to play for national championship in baseball. Since then, Mankato played for one and Augie won one since then. But so that's a big one. I've had a few guys get drafted and sign, and been able to go watch them play some pro ball, which is great experiences, great memories. Ben Barone being the Division II Player of the Year. the biggest thing that year in 2007, I had him and Mike Wendland, and I can't remember who the third guy was in their BP group, but it was really fun watching those guys take BP and watching other teams when we're on road trips or whatever. When we're taking our BP, the other team standing and watching those guys hit because balls were flying everywhere and stuff. So there's a lot of other ones that could be thrown out there and stuff, but it would take a long time to cover them all. So, but basically just being with the guys all the time. It's 20 years as a head coach, 29, another 9 years as an assistant coach, and then 4 years of playing and 1 year as a bat boy. There are a lot of memories.
So obviously this game has meant a lot to you, and being around the guys means a lot to you. And I understand that. I mean, I love the game as well. And I didn't get to play very long because I just wasn't that good, but the game always sticks with you. So for you, what part is baseball going to play in the rest of your life?
I'm probably watch a lot of it on TV. I'm a big Brewers fan, and I like the Twins, so I'm still going to follow those. I got a nephew who's playing. He's a sophomore this year who actually plays for my brother. He's a shortstop, so I'm going to go actually probably on Tuesday this week, go watch him play. First time this year to see him play. I thought about maybe doing some lessons, but I don't know if I want to do that. I also thought that I know there's a big shortage of umpires, and I used to umpire years ago and stuff, so I figured, except I was joking in the dugout, I don't even have to get behind home plate. I can sit in the dugout and call ball strikes. I've seen so many. So, but we'll see. I know every spring now that I'm retired, I might want to make a trip to Arizona, spring training out there, and catch as many teams as I can for a lot cheaper than going to the major league parks during the season. So there's all kinds of options. So I'll keep myself busy with some baseball.
All right. And then when you look back on this particular season, your last season, what's something you're going to remember from this season?
Just how young we were, but how hard they worked. They came to practice every single day, ready to get after it, ready to get better. And that's what we talked about from day one. Every day we come to practice, make sure you leave the gym. And it was the gym more than the field this year. That was the biggest thing. Make sure you leave the gym and you feel like you're better than you were when you got there. And I think they did a pretty good job of it, a lot of them. So, and I'm kind of waiting to see. There's been some teams express some interest in Nick Harold. So hopefully he's going to get a chance at the next level, and we'll see how that shakes out. But those are the things that are the best thing. The young guys and working hard to make sure they got better.
All right. Well, I want to say congratulations to you on a great career. I want to thank you for, doing this show, all the access that you gave us to do that, and then letting us tag along with 2011, which was just amazing. The trip that we were able to take to North Carolina to follow you guys was great, and it was something that I'll remember definitely forever. So congratulations and good luck in the next phase of your life.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot for covering us. That was great. The guys loved it, especially when we used to do the show. They come down and do that stuff. So, but it's been great. It's been fun. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. And we're going to take a break here on Warriors WalkOff. When we come back, we'll talk Warriors softball with head coach Greg Jones right after this. And welcome back to Warriors WalkOff here on HBC TV 25. Time now to talk softball with head coach Greg Jones. And Coach Jones, first of all, congratulations on a great season. I know it didn't end the way that you wanted it to, but getting to the NCAA playoffs is a great accomplishment, a great honor. You had to face off against Rogers State first, and what a game that was. I mean, it was a 1-0 game. Your thoughts on how that first game went?
It was, going in, we knew how much pitching was going to be down there, how much pitching in elite level defense was going to be down there. We were not disappointed. I can tell you that once we got there, Game one with Washburn and Mankato was 1-0. There were 5 hits in the game. When we got out there, we played our game, and it was 1-0 with 3 hits total in the game and 24 strikeouts. To have to play the host school right out of the gate is tough to do. Having to face Morales right out of the gate is tough to do. But it was, again, it was just really interesting emotionally, because at the end of the year, it's usually pretty sad and you're disappointed if you don't win it and all that kind of stuff. But I think this year I was just really happy for the group. I was happy for the program that we got back in it. And I thought then, just talking about that game one, we really continued to need these things to push the program forward. We needed to see that type of pitching. We needed to get back in that environment. We needed to see how tough it is, because that's what creates the continued buy-in for the program. It continues to create the hunger going forward. Sometimes you got to go through those uncomfortable moments to get comfortable being in them. And I thought we were able to do that then as the tournament went on.
Well, yeah, I mean, you bounced back. You ended up getting a win against Washburn the next game. Walk us through that a little bit. I think 6-1, 7-1, something like that. Tell us how that game went.
It was a great game. It was, the energy level was tremendous. It was one of those goosebumps and butterfly moments. And Liz had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning. We went at 6-1. She gave up 1 hit. It was a solo home run, but we're already up 6-0. And the other good thing about how Liz threw was she was incredibly efficient. We knew we had 2 games that day in 90-degree heat. And she got a lot of first pitch outs. We did a lot of pitching to contact instead of strikeout pitching. And we were able to keep her pitch count, relatively low in that game. Offensively, Tegan Amoza hit a big 2-run home run early for us. It was kind of a lid lifter. It was one of those things that we had struggled. We didn't score the day before. We had, opportunities here and there. Their pitching obviously is very elite as well. They'd held Mankato to just 1 run the day before on 2 hits. And so I think once we got on the board, everything just felt normal again. And so that was a huge home run. So we ended up with 6 runs. We had a good day offensively. I thought our approach all day was really, really good. We didn't chase. We didn't get ourselves out. We got really comfortable in the box, and we were able to drive the ball a little bit. And then Liz did what Liz does and got outs for us. And again, was throwing a no-hitter. So the game had really good rhythm in our favor. The energy was tremendous in the dugout. It just had a really good vibe. And then we, had to play Rogers again right after, and that started really well again. And so I just thought everything in that game kind of got us being Winona State again, and it felt really good.
So you kind of already answered that, but having seen Rogers already, and then getting the lift with the win and almost getting a no-hitter, how did you feel going into that second matchup against Rogers?
I felt really good because the couple of things that were happening. One, we were coming off a win; they were coming off a loss, and so I thought that was good. I thought it was good that we got to play again right away, where they had to sit and wait. So I thought there were some things that leveled the playing field for us. That I don't know that it tilted in our favor, but it leveled it because you're playing a host school on the road in front of a hostile crowd. They had a lot of advantages. They were going to be the home team. There was a massive crowd there. We're playing a second game in 90-degree heat. There were a lot of things working against us, but we had some of those good other things to balance it out a little bit that I thought leveled the game. It was interesting. In day one, there were 2 runs scored total in the tournament. There were like 8 hits total in the tournament. In day 2, when the hitters all got to see the pitchers a second time, offense started to come alive. And so you really started to see that, and pitchers had to throw back-to-back games again all of a sudden. And so early on, Sam hit the first pitch of the game out of the park, dead center field. And I mean, it was just an absolute goosebump moment. It was awesome. And then Abby got a base hit. So we had our first 2 kids got hits, where we'd had 2 hits the night before against her. And now we have 2 hits in a run. And, then Libby hits a solo home run to lead off the next inning. We score another run on a pass ball after a 2-out rally. So we're up 3-0. And I thought we had runners on second and third, and we were up 3-0. And I thought if we got a hit, we were in really good shape. If we didn't, I thought the momentum was going to swing back their way because they were going to get out of a big jam, and they did, and they got out of it, and they ended up scoring 1 run, made it 3-1. And then they just kind of turned it loose. And man, that was as loud of a crowd as I've ever coached against. And once they got it rolling, man, it was tough to turn the faucet off, but it was an awesome environment to be a part of all the same.
So you mentioned that, games like this and opportunities like this are building blocks for your team. You graduate from this year's team. So a large chunk of this team returns for next season. What's the early outlook here, having gone through this and seeing a team like Rogers and seeing some dominant pitchers like you face against Rogers and Washburn heading into next season, and knowing that you've got this under your belt for next year?
I can't say enough for how important this was. Two things that it really did that were huge for the program. One, it extended your season so you get more practices, you get more opportunity with your team. And then the other thing is you give them a taste of what it is. And we have an enormous amount of talent in our younger classes, and they hadn't been here yet. In 2020, everything got shut down. So nobody had a postseason. And then the following year, they cut the field down, and we would have made it in a normal field, but they only took 6 instead of 8. And we were sitting at, anywhere at 7 or 8 as all the rankings came out. So we didn't get to go. And so getting there now finally gave them that taste of this is what it is. And even talking to some of the parents of the younger kids, having parents say to me, boy, I didn't realize what this was like. It was so important for everybody to feel it, to see how good it was, and to be hungry about, look, we can do this. And we want to be that team now that comes out of it. And so I think the extra time with your team, the extra practices, the extra opportunities to play that level of competition, and then that building block of hunger sends them into the offseason on a good note and gives you a little more buy-in from day one in the fall.
How long do you reflect on this season? Do you file this away right away and look ahead towards next season? What's the process for you right now?
What's interesting personally is you go literally 100 miles an hour for 5 straight months, and you have a headache constantly. You're running everywhere. You're trying to be a husband and a father and a coach, and you're trying to do everything at 100 miles an hour for 5 months, and all of a sudden it just ends. I mean, just literally cold turkey, you're done. And emotionally, that's really, really difficult to go from doing everything to doing nothing. So what's next is twofold. One, you try to kind of decompress and reflect, and then figure out what you need to do going forward. And then the other thing, you change hats instantly and you're recruiting. And, so today at 5:00, we're on the road watching high school games, and you're constantly now building again. And it's a different kind of busy, so as a dad and as a husband and as a son, your whole world, your circle understands what you're doing. And then it ends, and I think your circle thinks, okay, that part's over. And instead you miss dinner again because you got to be at a high school game at 5:00. And so it's hard because it's a complete flip of the hat. And now you're sending emails and you're on the telephone and you're on the road and all that kind of stuff. And at the same time, you're trying to go through, okay, where are we with the group that's here? Are we going to do any position changes? Are we going to bring in transfers? Or, is anybody not coming back? And you're still looking at the chessboard of what you have. And now what do we need to do to get a little bit better next year? Because we've got some building blocks, but we don't want to finish 3rd in the regional tournament. We want to try to win a regional tournament. We want to get to the World Series. We want to be national champions. So how far away are we? What's that gap, and how do we close it? So you're trying to kind of do both things at the same time. So summer isn't very relaxing. It's just a different type of stress.
And I apologize that I don't know this, but what's next for the players? Because I know on the baseball side, players can pitch in the Northern League. They can pitch for town ball clubs. They can do any number of things to get ready for the next season. I don't know if there's anything comparable to that in softball. So is there anything comparable?
There are some things they can do. I mean, some of our freshmen can go back and still play with their old club travel teams because of the age thing. Our older kids don't really have that opportunity. There are a few things. I mean, there are some 23 and under teams and tournaments. They're very few and far between. What we told our kids the other day was go home and now put the ball down for a while too. You also need to relax. We've been pushing really hard for 5 months, let your body recover. But ultimately, in the immediate now, we're having meetings with our kids, one-on-one meetings talking about, okay, what you need to do in the off season, what you need to do this summer to get better and to improve on. And here's what we see your role and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the immediate. And then they move out and go home. Some kids will go home and work all summer and they'll never pick up a ball. Other kids will go home and work their craft nonstop and they'll work with private hitting coaches or pitching coaches or whatever. And then some are kind of in the middle. My philosophy, Greg Jones, is maybe different than some coaches, maybe the same as others. I never really asked him, but I believe very strongly, and I'm going to coach you when you're in front of me. You're not going to be in front of me for the next 3 months. So I'm going to know who did their work in September when they come back and who didn't. But I believe it's a crescendo. We're not trying to win a national championship in October. We're trying to win one in May. And so we'll continue that slow grind and slow build up once they get back here. But the summer for them, some kids will play some games, but most of them will not. It'll just be individual work they're getting with private instructors. But we'll give them a lifting program and a conditioning program and hope they do it. But I just believe they've got to go do what they've got to do. And when we get back, it's our charge when they get back to get them ready.
All right. So last question here. Once September rolls around again, how much work do you need to do to get ready for, whatever it is that you have to do prior to those trips to Florida or to Missouri or whatever in that early fall practice? How much work do you have to do?
We got to get better. Last year, a year ago at this time, my biggest thing was we have to get tougher. I just didn't think we were mentally and physically tough enough. And this year we proved that. We got that right. We got that piece right. And we won some games that we had no business winning. We made this postseason run when I thought, this team was literally dead in the water 3 times this year. So far as postseason, we were going to have a good year, but I didn't think we were going to be a 40-win team and get to the NCAA tournament. And we did that. And that was through their toughness and their mental toughness and their stick-to-itiveness and their belief in themselves and each other. They really became uncommon that way, which was great. Now I think it's more about just the physical play. We've got to clean some things up. We've got to get more athletic. We've got to make a few more plays on the defensive side of the ball. We've got to be better base runners. And we've got to get our pitching back to where it needs to be on a more consistent basis. But those are things, just as you mentioned, that we get a full fall season to work on. And so my focus coming back in September is to really work on the craft of the game and be outside and use that time with no pressure. We'll have a few fall games to really kind of see where it's at, but it's not to me about that game and about the pressure of winning and success. It's about development again. We got to clean some things up. But again, we led the league in defense, which is great. I want to lead the country in defense, and we were able to do that a couple of years ago. We've done it 3 of the last 5 years. This year we were a very good defensive team, but we weren't elite. And so we've got to get better where we're taking hits away. We're a little more athletic. We got to see what we can do with the new kids and where everybody fits. But fall ball, I think, is maybe more important this coming year than maybe it's ever been for us because of how close we are. And the things that I think we need to improve on and clean up are actually on the field now. And so we'll get that out.
All right. Well, very good. Well, congratulations on a great season. And I'm looking forward to talking more softball with you next year. As you said, I mean, this could be a very good upcoming year. So we're really looking forward to it. Thanks for the time. And hopefully you get to decompress a little bit now.
Thank you so much for having us all season, Justin. I really appreciate it.
All right. And thank you for watching Warriors Walk Off here on HBC TV 25. We'll see you next time.